Previously, you have learned about the right triangle similarity theorem. Now this time you will learn about Pythagorean Theorem. Pythagorean Theorem states that in a right triangle, the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of the two legs. The Pythagorean Theorem was named after a Greek mathematician, Pythagoras of Samos. In this figure, C is represented as the hypotenuse while A and B are represented as the legs of this right triangle. So we could say, by applying the Pythagorean theorem on triangle ABC, we have C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared, where A and B are the legs and C is the hypotenuse. Let's have 4 examples. Example number 1. In this figure, determine the value of x. Apply Pythagorean theorem. Hypotenuse is x. The first leg is 6 units and the other leg is 8 units. So, x squared equals 6 squared plus 8 squared. Simplifying 6 squared, that would be 36, and 8 squared, that would be 64. 36 plus 64, that's 100. Extracting square roots on both sides, that would be x equals 10 units. Example number 1, letter B. Example number 1, letter B. In this figure, we would need to determine the value of x. Still, x is the hypotenuse. So applying the Pythagorean theorem, hypotenuse is x. The first leg is square root of 2 units and the other leg is square root of 2 units. So x squared is equals to quantity square root of 2 squared plus quantity square root of 2 squared. Simplifying the square of square root of 2, that would be 2. So 2 plus 2 is 4. Extracting square roots on both sides, x is equal to 2 units. Example number 1, letter C. Determine the value of x. Now in this figure, our x is not anymore the hypotenuse, but one of the legs of the right triangle. So applying the Pythagorean theorem, hypotenuse is 10 units, one of the leg is 5 units, and the other leg is x. So 10 squared is equal to 5 squared plus x squared. 10 squared, that is 100. 5 squared, that is 25. Transposing 25 on the other side of the equation, that would be 100 minus 25, and that is 75. By symmetric property of equality, x squared is equal to 75. And extracting square roots on both sides, x equals 5 square root of 3 units. Example number 2. How far will James travel to reach Sarah's house using C Street? If A Street is 2 miles and B Street is 1.5 miles. So as you can see in this figure, Sarah's house and James' house together with the C Street, A Street, and B Street form a right triangle. So in this case, A Street and B Street are the representation of the legs of the right triangle, while C Street is the representation of the hypotenuse of the right triangle. So we could say that C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared. Since A is 2, substitute A with 2, B with 1.5. So C squared equals 2 squared, 2 squared is 4. 1.5 squared, that is 2.25. 4 plus 2.25, that's 6.25. Extracting square roots on both sides of the equation, C is equal to 2.5 miles. Therefore, James will travel 2.5 miles from his house to Sarah's house. Example number 3. Here you can see a 6 meters long ladder leaning on a wall. The bottom of the ladder is 1 meter away from the wall. How far does it reach up the wall? By applying the Pythagorean theorem, as you can see, the length of the letter or the letter is representation for the hypotenuse, while the distance from the bottom of the letter to the wall is 1 meter, and that is one of the legs of the right triangle. We need to look for the other leg, and that is the height of the wall. So the height of the wall will be represented as h, 6 meters for the length of the letter, 1 meter for the distance of the letter from the wall. Applying Pythagorean theorem, we could say that 6 squared is equals to h squared plus 1 squared. Simplifying this, that would be 36, or 6 squared is equal to h squared plus 1. Transpose 1 on the other side of the equation, it would be 36 minus 1. 36 minus 1, that's 35. By symmetric property of equality, h squared is equal to 35. Extracting square roots on both sides of the equation, h is equal to square root of 35 meters. Since you cannot extract any more square root of 35, that would be your final answer. Therefore, the height of the wall is square root of 35 meters. Now, there are 3 conditions for a Pythagorean theorem. Suppose the lengths of the sides of the triangles are A, B, and C, with C as the longest side of the triangle. The triangle is acute if C squared is less than the sum of the 2 remaining sides. Now, the triangle is obtuse if C squared is greater than the sum of the remaining legs. And the triangle is right if C squared is equal to the sum of the remaining legs or sides of the triangle. In general, in any positive integer a, b, and c that satisfy the equation c squared equals a squared plus b squared, it is referred to as the Pythagorean triple.